Good.
Again, like comments on it.
Everybody turn your mics on. You good?
Yeah, it is. I asked the same question.
Y'all got anything you want to pass while Jackie's not here? Surprise them.
I haven't looked at it. On the website, we kind of looked at it. But, I can do it. Mm. I know it's, Wade County, area, with force and services. Now, I think they hired members.
Ronnie's New Year's Eve party.
It'll be hard hearing tonight, ain't it, if we can leave these
Probably
stuff.
don't want to hear that, or want anybody else to. You made the joke about New Year's Eve and partying, so I was
I
wondering.
know. We didn't see anybody on New Year's Eve, me and Beth. Cameron came over a little bit earlier, but I think I got 7. You ready? All right. I call to order the town's Rolesville regular board meeting, January the 5th. Just want to thank everybody that's next door, that's here in the building with us for coming. Also, each and every one that's watching online. Thank you for participating in the meeting tonight. And we're going to start with a pledge of allegiance. So if everybody in the chamber rise, please. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Paul, you mind?
You bow, please. Dear Father in heaven, we'd like to thank you for the day you've given us today. We'd ask you to continue to be with the sick, to help everybody come back to a better portion of health. Please protect our military and our first responders, and help guide this board to do what's best for our town of Rolesville. We ask all this in your son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, thanks, Paul. Appreciate that. Review of the agenda. We got quite a few items to cover tonight. It looks like it's a lot, and it is a lot. But I think, Kelly and I talked about, I think we can get it done by 9. I will say that we will stop at 10, just to apply, best we can with the governor's order. And, but I feel like we probably get it through. I'm gonna try to keep it on track and, kind of help with that. With that, has anybody got any changes they want to make to the agenda items? I'm not hearing any. I entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, I hear a motion second.
I'll second.
April seconds. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks a lot. On Board members' liaison reports. Mayor Pro Tem Michelle Medley, you have anything to report on from the planning board? Okay. All right, thank you. Commissioner Sutton, anything from economic development?
Just very, very briefly, tomorrow, Michael and I will be meeting with a representative from Wake County Economic Development on the downtown development group, just getting information, kind of insights on what they've done. And then so that's tomorrow, January 6th, and then on January 19th, the REDAC 2.0 group that I affectionately refer to them as, a meeting of about 10 people. We're going to have our kind of kickoff meeting. I'm excited about that. Those that are participating in Main Street, you all are familiar. Looking forward to giving you future updates on that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Sutton. Only thing I will mention is really not economic development. It is, but it is, kind of related to our commercial town and stuff. And most of you may have heard SunTrust is closing a branch here in town, which would not leave a full-service bank in town. Michael has been active in trying to recruit a bank. I have too, talked to some, folks. But, anything you guys can do too, be great. Be love to get another one back here. I think we would have support from a lot of the business and farmers in the community if we could get one back. So I just want to mention that.
And I will say, I did talk to one of our VPs. I work at Coastal Credit Union. I did talk to one of our VPs, and it's just not in our market because we have Nightdale on our radar. So it's just proximity is too close, and we already have Wakefield.
Yeah.
But I did look into it. I forgot about that.
That's great. And if y'all know friends that work there, some banks or something, let's just, keep that in mind. So thanks. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Commissioner Vilga, Parks and Rec Advisory Board.
Yeah, we had a virtual meeting. It was nice. We had a update regarding the Carlton Point Greenway, an update regarding the farm with talking about a second entrance into the farm, the options we had there. Wayfinding signage was complete, so they're going to start rolling it out to our developers now. So all of our signs will look the same throughout the Greenway. And there was discussion regarding a sign for the newly named Redford Place Park. And they're going to look into that next meeting.
Gotcha. Well, thanks on that. One thing I will mention, just for your record, Paul, last time I went by the park and went down 96, that farm beside our park on 96 side, they got a sign up for sale.
Okay.
So, and that's, I don't know if we could get entry that way or not. But
Yeah, they're in discussions with them as well.
Okay.
Just as a possibility too. So.
I don't know if we want to buy the whole farm, but,
No.
but it is up for sale. I saw on the sign.
Okay.
Thank you for your update. Public invited to be heard. I think we do have at least one to speak. Is that right, Robin? Can we invite that person in at this time?
Do you want to mention about Jackie?
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me of that. Well, welcome, Mr. Hall. Good to have you tonight. Appreciate you coming out to our board meeting. And if you don't mind, just state your name and address for the record.
Okay.
And
Tell me if you can hear me or not. It's hard to speak through this. My name is Harry Hall. I'm at 233 Kew Gardens Way, and it's right up here in Carlton Point, 27571.
sounds good.
Okay.
Go right ahead. Tell us what you got on your mind.
I got 3 minutes to talk. Is that it? Okay.
That's right.
Won't even need to. I got three simple things. They're very obvious things. I don't know if you have a copy of this or anything. Robin has a copy. All right, there's one. Clean up South Main Street trash. It looks terrible. I mean, we know it looks terrible. It's not any worse than 401 going down to Raleigh, but attention needs to be, I mean, it take 5 hours, 3, 4, 5 hours to clean that up one time. And after we clean it up one time, we need to have some type of a routine schedule, maybe every week or a couple of weeks or something. Clean it up so we keep a nice clean town coming in here. Part of a nice clean town and cleaning up are deer, dead deer. They're all over. There was a deer, a little fawn deer for a while at the second light, the last light before you get to 401, the bypass split. That little thing laid in the middle of the road until it rotted. And there was another one or two on the sides of the road up there. They laid till it rot. I heard from a friend down in Raleigh, lives in the northwestern part. He had a deer, car hit it, truck hit it. He called somebody to pick it up, and the people in Raleigh said they don't do that anymore. So the thing is, something like that, at least pick the deer up or something. And I don't know who should do that or how it should be done. Last thing, most important, I was at some kind of a meeting last year where the people came in and they were talking about their ideas to make Rolesville better and stuff. And one of the things was beautification. And that starts with picking the trash up and at least keeping it clean, trying to mow every 3 or 4 weeks or something. Make it neat when you drive in here so people are, hey, what a nice little town this is and everything. You want to get business in, that'll help get business in. Nice, neat little town. The garage, when you first come in, you can see the junkyard in the back. There is, you know, there's weeds, there's derelict trucks and everything that just sit out in the front. Flat tire for 2 years. One's got 2 flat tires for 2 years. You know, and it's, the man is, I don't know who it is. It's hard to be a businessman and make a profit, particularly in this time. He doesn't have a lot of money to do stuff. Why can't the board, why can't the city, the town, give him $20,000 or $30,000 in conjunction with somebody negotiating and supervising him? Clean up, you know, put pavement out in front. Do something to either hide the junkyard in the back or get rid of it. That's my ideas, that's my request for what, if you can put on the agenda for this year and get some action items.
Great.
That okay?
Right. Well, thank you, Mr. Hall. Appreciate that. I think they are all good ideas and.
Back around?
Yep. Go.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Just,
And I can help negotiate and do stuff if you want, I've done that stuff.
well, great. Thank you. Just a couple quick comments. I do think we know we've already kind of had some discussion about trash. So, you know, I know Sheila, you on that appearance committee, and let's kind of work together and see what, you know, what we can do on that. The one on the deer, and I'll say this to the public listening and all, they will get picked up, but, you know, we just need to know about it. We'll find a way to pick them up. I think the police, they recognize them when they out on patrol and they see something and report it. I think I had a it was just about a couple months ago, I think it was, one at Kelly, where a citizen called and said he had a deer in front of his yard, and we went out and picked that up, you know, make sure he had it picked up. And so, you know, just let us know, because we, you know, naturally, for many reasons, and health is one of them, you don't want it laying out there. So, you know, there is a way to get it up.
There's one on Jonesville.
Huh? Uh-huh.
It was not more than 10 or 15 minutes later that they had already picked up the deer.
Yeah.
So it's important that when you see it, you call it in.
Yeah, that's right. So, and that's just a word for anybody. If you see one, call me personally if you need to, or Town Hall, and we'll do that. And the last comment with the private property, you know, I know as part of the Main Street plan, I think, Kelly, we are going to probably purchase some right-of-way to make at least the right-of-way look better, and add a sidewalk in there like kind of was discussed, and some green strip or whatever you want to call it. So hopefully we can work on that a little bit. So very good comments from Mr. Hall. Thank you for coming tonight. I think we do have another guest speaker, George Gonzalez. You here? There you go. Come on in, George, and if you would, just for the record, state your name and address for us, please.
My name is George Garcia. I'm a resident at 524 Averett Road. We own a property, the Freeman Garcia Trust. That property bounds the Rolesville Baptist Church Cemetery. About 60 to 65% of that cemetery was donated by the Averett family and its descendants. I'm going to regret, and it's all in the Register of Deeds if you all want to check on that, okay?
Yep.
That cemetery would not exist. Dr. Corbin gave part of it, and now his heirs are giving another acre or so to square it off. Since 2012, we've had nothing but a nuisance coming from that cemetery into our property. We found all sorts of tawdry stuff in our land. We had a lot of trash that was being deposited there. And we have contacted the church and the church pastor and management, and nothing has happened. Even our lawyers sent letters, nothing has happened. We had, in the time frame of 2013 to 2014, we had issues where we had to take some people to court for trespassing, actually a retired Raleigh policeman, and actually even had the FBI visit with us. Evidently someone in the area had complained to the FBI that they were trying to force them out of their properties. They came over to talk to us about it, okay? I don't know what ever happened with that investigation. I think it's still ongoing. But the point that I'm trying to make is that in 2019, we had some trespassing by surveyors of Chandler's Ridge, and they took down, actually, the fellow Reeves, who actually cuts the grass, he's the lawn man at the cemetery, took down my signs and my barricades and drove down there to get these people. They got stuck in our property without, and they were surveying without permission, okay? We had to take Mr. Reeves to the judge, swear a warrant against them, and then we also had to get the Wake County Sheriff to investigate and get the surveyors to fix the damage that they did. They had a large recovery record down there and all sorts, about 2 or 3 pickups stuck in our wetlands, okay? It's been going on. Now, September the 9th, we had someone tear down our barricades right at the corner there where the Bartholomew burial ground or burial monument is in the corner. The sheriff came in and said, well, you might want to put a camera. I put a camera which I brought here. And on December the 2nd, someone smashed that camera, which I have the pieces here. Okay? And when we went back and talked to the pastor, he said that Mr. Holding, who was actually, I guess, the night watchman over there, said that maybe he needs to put another camera up. That's our property. And it's been ongoing for quite a while. On December the 6th, we had someone drive in between 504 Averett Road and 514, which is, that road is managed by the city, by the police department. They drove in between, didn't hit anything on 504 or 514, but it did hit my fence and my signs in there. Drove around on a forestry management farm, which is how we manage it now. Drove through all the seedlings, came out the backside, and missed the Bartholomew, but went right through and left the Range Rover parked back there. On December the 17th, I had someone drive in our front yard with a trailer and cut wheelies in front of our house. All these are documented by Wake County. And the vehicle, the leading investigators are Wake County, the city of Wake Forest. The point I'm trying to make here is that it's ongoing. It looks like someone is trying to induce us into selling the property. There may be some real estate bird dogs behind this, but it is very aggravating. And by the way, children live on that 504 house. It could have been hurt, okay?
Thank you.
And I do want to thank the police department. On the eve of the 31st, on New Year's Eve, I called them because there were some folks in that Chandler's Ridge running up and down in four-wheelers and whatever. They actually caught them and read them the riot act. They had been cutting across the backside and coming into our property that way.
Good.
It is dangerous, okay?
Well, thank you for the feedback.
Yeah,
Thank
well, I
you.
hope y'all can do something about it.
Well, thank you, George. And I guess, Kelly, just take some notes there. And you know the situation, George. You know, you live in Wake County, so you have to call the county thing.
Well-
But if you see anything in town like that new subdivision you mentioned, just call our police department, and we'll be involved in it.
Respectfully, yes, we live in the county, but you control our property. The ETJ controls our property. So, and we're paying taxes for the county and pay taxes to the fire department. And by the way, I know that you guys are working on a connector between Jones Dairy and Pulleytown Road that would go besides our property. You all may want to check and do some checking because there are some black old burial sites in there. I've seen them, and some of it, they turned from the Civil War to the early 1900s. Some of the older folks have passed away, but their children and grandchildren know that they're there. Okay?
Thank you, George. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming out tonight. Appreciate it. And we'll take note of some of the comments you made. So thanks a lot. Next item is the consent agenda, and as some of you probably recognize, Jackie's not here tonight. Commissioner Wilson is feeling under the weather. I don't think he has, anything serious, but he just rather to stay quarantined tonight and didn't come. So let's all think about him and as we move on with business. The consent agenda, I think it's 5, 6, 7 items. The only one I will mention per se is appointment of 2020 League Municipalities Advocacy Goals Voting Delegate. I talked to April, and she's willing to serve that role and serve the role kind of like a liaison for the league. Anything that comes up, I guess, in the future, Robin, that deal with the league, we'll let April handle that. So with that, unless somebody has any questions, I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I got a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks. Is any opposed? I didn't hear any opposed. Thank you. Appreciate that. And we'll get into the board action meetings. The first one on the list is a public hearing, UDO TA 20-04 Town Center Zoning District. I believe a presentation is going to be made by Danny, and if he's there's Danny. So I think we've had a lot of discussion around this item, a couple workshops. So we've had a lot of input. And kind of what we want to do tonight is let Danny give us a brief intro, and then I'll open the meeting up, see if anybody in the public want to make any comments. So it's all yours, Danny.
Thank you, Mayor. I was trying to, it's a little delayed in here. I would have been here a little sooner.
Understand, no problem.
All right, as you've already introduced, this is case number, I'm sorry, what did it do here? Well, we got the wrong, wait a minute, bear with me a second. I got 2 slide presentations. Because there was a different one. Sorry about that. We got switched there. All right, this is dealing with UDO TA 2004 as the mayor's introduced. This is a proposed text amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance on the Town Center zoning district being added. As he's already identified, it's been discussed through many involvement of the staff and our consultant with Kimley Horn, Kelly Kepler, I believe, who is online available to us if we need him. And it's gone through the planning board, and of course we've had a workshop. There was some changes that was directed and requested by the board, and I'm here to report that those changes have been incorporated into the text you asked for. One was dealing with the timing of development, dealing with mixed-use development, and the percentages was identified in there, and you said, well, what if we want to do something different? So the last sentence was added to say the percentages may be modified as part of an approved development agreement, similar to what you're doing with the cobblestone project, so it would follow that fashion. The other was making sure that when we do have mixed-use buildings, that their ground floor would be commercial, never would be residential on mixed-use buildings. So that statement has been added into the text amendment that only commercial on the ground floor for mixed-use buildings. And then last was a request to increase the number of trees in the proposed buffer example for the first 100 feet. Previously, it was 3 trees per 100 feet, and it has been increased to 4. And the graphic's been updated. So those were the 3 changes requested. And of course, overall, this is a form-based code element. It will be more flexible and allowed to create a true town center as recommended by the comprehensive plan. It deals with the average, the maximum height by right is 35 feet. Above 35 feet to 60 feet has to go through a special approval by the town board as a design alternative. Buffers on the perimeter is 10 feet with trees, fences, and shrub, which I just showed you a diagram. There's open space requirements. There's various types of plazas and different aspects of that in there depending upon the size of the development and the activity. There's also activity areas, so you have active citizen space and so on like that, called the public realm. You have compatibility standards dealing with the compatibility of this type of development with surrounding properties, with particular design standards within the development as well as adjacent properties. And of course, a wide variety of parking standards to make it a little bit more flexible. So the proposed town center text amendment is consistent with the Rolesville Comprehensive Plan. It creates a new district to increase the potential for vertical and horizontal mixed-use development in key activity areas across the town and apply elements of form-based code in the current zoning language to ensure quality construction standards and design, and of course meets the 5 stated goals in the UDO that's listed as D1 through D5. And of course, in my memo, those are written out for you. The planning board did recommend approval of this proposed text amendment, and it's reasonable in the public interest, and the amendment is consistent with the Rolesville Comprehensive Plan. Staff recommendation is to approve the text amendment for the Town Center zoning district as presented, and of course, at your desk, at your seat, was not included, missed, is a resolution statement of consistency that needs to be included with the motion. And with that said, Kelly Kepler is available. I might let him, if he makes a few quick comments, and then we'll move on to the public hearing.
No, I have a question for you.
Okay.
The
wait a minute.
timing of development, I just want to make sure I understand that. So you're saying 50% of the residential units may be permitted until at least 25% of the approved residential square footage is permitted? Okay, so just
The text we had there previously stated a certain standard.
Correct.
The last sentence has been added to say the board has discretion to change those standards at its discretion on a case-by-case basis. So those are just an example to get started, but you can modify that if you desire through your development agreement.
So 50% residential is what it's saying has to be done first or may be done first?
If they do up to 50% residential, then they have to come up with 25% commercial.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Kelly?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. For the record, Kelly Klepper, and always a pleasure to see you, especially in this format. Hope everybody had a safe and secure holiday. Just want to kind of echo a couple of things that Danny was mentioning. First and foremost, as he said, this does implement your comprehensive plan and that overall vision. One of the things that we tried to do as part of this, and this has been a truly collaborative effort between staff, the developers of Cobblestone, as well as a number of other folks. But basically, we're trying to help create that destination where the destination logically needs to be. So we think that, the standards that have been provided as part of this town center will definitely be the first step in the right direction. And also, this will start to be incorporated into the land development ordinance that, as you all know, we're coming up on a couple of workshops and some major rollouts here shortly. So you'll see how this kind of fits in with the overall context of the LDO in its entirety. And I'd be happy to answer any questions like Danny mentioned as well.
Any questions for staff or? All right. Well, I've got the public hearing open. I'll call for any comments from the public to speak in favor. Robin, has anybody signed up? Anybody over there to speak? Okay, and check for anybody to speak in opposition to. See what that is, Danny.
I thought these days were over.
Hey, Keenan.
I apologize. Hi, guys. How are we?
I didn't recognize you with the mask on there.
I'm
But
getting used to them. I kind of like them now, to be totally honest with y'all. I thought y'all said in opposition too, so I almost came running in thinking I was
Yeah.
going to accidentally be in
yeah,
opposition.
you are in favor, though, right?
I am. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Very excited too. So I've got a little statement to read here. Good evening, Commissioners of the Board and Mr. Mayor, and Happy New Year's at that. My name is Kenyon Burnham, and I'm here today on behalf of KDM Development and Cobblestone Crossing to express our support for the proposed text amendment. Over the last year and a half, our team has worked closely with planning staff to serve as a loose advisory group as this new zoning district was drafted and developed. While we have not been able to get everything we want, which of course is totally fine, the resultant product is more than acceptable to us, and we've been able to reconfigure our site plan with minimal trouble to meet the updated standards created in the new town center district. The only component of the text amendment we might suggest altering at this point would be to increase the by right height allowance from 35 feet to 60 feet, so long as internal fire suppression standards are met. That said, as it is currently written, a 60-foot height is permissible under a design alternative, which can be granted by the town board at its discretion. As it currently stands, we at Cobblestone have 2 buildings on site that will exceed the 35-foot by right height limit, so it is our intention that should the text amendment pass as written, which I strongly encourage you all to do tonight, we would be returning to the board to request the aforementioned design alternative as it is necessary that a couple of our buildings exceed this 35-foot limit. While it would be less cumbersome for us if the by right height was up to 60 feet, the current course of action to pursue a design alternative is something we are prepared to do and are confident we will be able to obtain after our arguments are presented. In either scenario, we are sincerely looking forward to becoming a central element to this community. We have worked incredibly closely with staff over the last year and a half and could not more highly sing their praises. They have gone above and beyond in helping us to create this project, and we are absolutely ecstatic. The finish line is finally in sight, and work can almost begin. You guys have a really good team of hardworking, dedicated people here on your hands here, and it's really been a pleasure getting to work with them this closely. So again, to reiterate and conclude, we at Cobblestone are fully supporting this text amendment and hope you all vote to pass it. I wish you all the best in the new year and stay healthy and safe.
Thank you, Keenan.
Thanks so much, guys.
Any questions for Keenan real quick? Thank you. Thank you for coming
you,
out.
guys.
Was that in favor, Robin?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Was any oppositions out there? Okay. I will close the public hearing and turn this matter over to the board for consideration, deliberation, and consideration.
I make a motion to approve I need verbiage, the text amendment, is that what it is?
Yeah, he also wanted you to do that other piece too, the compliance thing.
The consistency statement?
Yeah.
You just need to make a motion to approve the text amendment, TA 20-04 for the Town Center District text amendment, and to adopt the resolution of consent, resolution of statement of
Consistency.
consent.
Okay, I make a motion to approve,
Consistency, excuse me.
to approve the text amendment UDOTA 20-04,
Town Center Zoning District,
Town Center zoning amendment,
District Text Amendment, public, oh my gosh, it's a lot.
and the statement of consistency.
I second.
Great. Got a motion, got a second. Any further discussion from the board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. Thank you, board. Appreciate that. The next item, item number 2, public hearing, is annexation of what we call the Fraser Farm. It's ANX 2-07, and I will open the public hearing. And Danny, are you going to give us a brief introduction here?
Yes, sir. Very briefly. As you already introduced, this is the annexation of the town-owned property. It's a non-contiguous voluntary annexation petition for 116.296 acres at 11624 Lewisburg Road in Wake County. Yeah, that's not working. There we go. And, oh, sorry, I need to make this larger. Bear with me, sorry. In orientation, this is North Main Street. This is the Lewisburg Road, which is also known as the 401 bypass. And the area in red is the annexation being added to the town limits. Currently, the right-of-way of 401 is in the town limits through a special bill of the legislature. So that area in between will be part of the town limits. There is a small sliver right here on the, I guess that would be the west side, and then most of it, the bulk of it is on the east side. So you have received a petition. The petition's been certified by the clerk as being sufficient, and you can, at this time, you've already opened the public hearing, take consideration adoption of the ordinance of annexation.
Sounds great.
I have a question, Danny.
Yes.
Would we normally have annexed this already? Like, why is this at this juncture? I feel like it should have already been done. Can you explain why we're at this point for the farm? Is that the normal process?
Well, it's town property, and I think it was just a decision when to do it, but I'll let the manager answer the question.
That's good. We just kind of held on it until we were in the middle of our ready to proceed, really what we designed it for, and there was no action when I came here, so we kind of waited to go through some opportunity to plan. And quite frankly, working with our fellow governments who have interest in this, Raleigh and Wake Forest, Wake County, had a few conversations with them, and the timing was right. So we're getting closer to the final design. We thought it'd be time to annex. Our next step, and I think I'd like to ask this question, Danny, is if you were to annex this tonight, would be to zone it also. And I think we'll follow up with a zoning petition fairly quickly to zone it also and have it appropriately zoned for development out there. So it really doesn't have anything to do with anything other than it's a good time to do it now.
I just wondered why later versus sooner. What's the
Yeah, I
difference?
think-
in-
There really is a definition of what later or sooner is.
Yeah, I think
No, I'm
you
saying we've
also.
owned it for a while.
Yeah,
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I think you also had to do some discussion with the Raleigh Water Department, make sure they didn't oppose, the annexation, you know, if we couldn't get it annexed, then we would have to go to Raleigh and get all things, not Raleigh, but Wake County to get everything approved. But it's good that we be able to do it in town so we can approve, like he's saying, the site plan and everything. But
So now that we have something tangible, we're working on towards something, there's a reason to do it. Essentially.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying.
When, Danny, when would zoning take place on this?
It's an item on the agenda later.
No, you're talking about Cobblestone. I'm asking about the farm. When would take? That's Cobblestone. When would it is, okay, there we go. Oh, okay.
Okay. Robin, is anybody here for speaking opposition or either way? Okay, nobody in favor or opposition. So with that, I will close the public hearing and turn it back over to the board for deliberations and considerations. So,
I can make a motion if you guys are. All right, make a motion to approve the non-contiguous voluntary annexation of case ANX 20-07, Town of Rolesville property at 11624 Lewisburg Road into the Rolesville town limits to be effective January 5th, 2021.
got a motion?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Anybody opposed? Sound like it was unanimous. Thank you. Appreciate that. And close that matter. The next item, number 3, is the Barrington Development Agreement, Amendment 2. This will be presented by Amy Stevens and Dave Neal. So I open the public hearing for item number 3. Looks like, Amy, you're ready to jump on that one.
Yes, sir. You'll give me just a moment. All right. Good evening, Mayor, Town Commissioners. Here to briefly orient you to the third public hearing of the night, which is a second amendment to the Barrington Subdivision Development Agreement. This subdivision was first approved in 2017. At the time of that approval, the town agreed with the developer to accept a payment in lieu, $250,000, instead of requiring the builder to construct Granite Falls Boulevard through the subdivision. In that same agreement, the town further agreed that instead of requiring the developer to pay $250,000 in cash, the town would accept a 6-acre tract of land adjoining the subdivision and behind here at Town Hall. Subsequently to that agreement, that project was sold to a new developer. The new developer came to the town and suggested that they were interested in that 6-acre tract and was willing to, in turn, build the road for Granite Falls Boulevard. So we negotiated a development agreement with them, and the board approved it in September of 2019. And that's the map you see here before you tonight, where there was an exchange of property, which is because the statute set out certain rules for exchanging town-owned property. You can exchange property of equal value. So the developer agreed to put in this segment in blue of Granite Falls Boulevard in exchange for that 6-acre tract. Now, there were some caveats to all that. There is our attorney is back on Zoom, that were worked out. So there was actually a deed of trust on that property. So even after it closes, if things happen, the project doesn't get completed, the town has the ability to reclaim that 6-acre tract. So that agreement was all worked out in September of 2019. We held public hearings on that, if you were here, and also you approved the exchange of that property. So that was a little over a year ago. That agreement and First Amendment in September 2019 required the road to be constructed within 1 year, which would have been September of 2020. Obviously, we have passed that deadline. As a result, we have renegotiated a new amendment to that development agreement with the developer, setting out some different timelines. It sets out some fairly quick turnaround in terms of closing to occur 14 days from an approval of the agreement. Permits and plans to be submitted 7 days after that. So once an agreement, according to this agreement, if it's approved within 21 days, permits and plans should be applied for this road. One of the things the developer requested was that they be held harmless for the permitting process. Their concern is that because of the pandemic and other events that are going on and slowing down potentially some of the agencies that would have to approve some of these permits, they wanted to be held harmless for that time period. So this agreement holds them to getting the permits submitted by a certain time, but then holds them harmless for that processing time. Once all the permits are received, this agreement requires that road to be completed within 1 year of the receipt of the permits.
Once the agreement is completed?
I'm sorry, once the approvals are attained.
Okay.
Once they've gotten all the permits and approvals in hand, 1 year to complete the road.
So we don't know a date. So they submit them within 3 weeks, it sounds like, and then we don't know the date that.
That's right. And part of it is because, the Army Corps of Engineers are involved, and it's just very hard to.
process,
Yeah, it's very hard to know how long that's going to take. The developers are not able to be here tonight. They were unable to attend due to a death of a near relative. So I did talk to them today. They've signed this agreement that's in here, so that does indicate their approval and acceptance of this. So it is in your hands once we hold the public hearing.
Dave, you got anything to add? You want to add in the introduction?
Well, as usual, Amy did a great job with that. We can string together the dates and calculate an absolute outside drop dead, if that makes sense. Clearly, the developer has repeatedly said they don't intend for construction to take a year once they start, and the agreement does require them to move forward with all due haste once they do begin. So we would hope that this would occur faster. Unfortunately, the tools available to a town to move a development agreement forward faster, that is to impose penalties, are limited by statute. So the options to the board are to make reasonable accommodation to allow the developer to cure their breach, or to vote no, in which case we would terminate this development agreement and we would take a look at their special use permits to ensure that does not constitute a violation of their obligations. And at that point, the town would no longer have a contract for the sale or exchange of the 6-acre tract.
Is there an intent to develop the 6.4 acre tract by this developer? And have they expressed that? And have they expressed that in writing?
They have expressed the intent that they're interested in the property either to develop themselves or to sell.
That's was going to be my question, if they had intentions of selling.
Yeah, didn't we already approve a preliminary for some kind of development there for them? Like a site plan? Nothing yet, nothing at all?
There was an original, if you go back and look at the files back there on Barrington, there is a commercial development for that site in the Barrington plan that was done before I came here. That's the only plan that's been approved. It's an office and commercial.
But they're not planning to do commercial now, I don't think, are they?
They haven't submitted anything. They did do a conversation about wanting to do townhomes there, but I don't know.
Okay, that's the conversation I
That's
had.
the
They
conversation.
haven't submitted
Townhouses.
anything.
Yeah. That's why I thought we'd done something. Maybe it's just something we heard, but this doesn't do anything to our due diligence going forth in approvals or the approval way we do approvals or anything like that, does it? I guess that's a legal question for Dave.
No, the development agreement as to the 6 acres is really only an exchange agreement as to the 6 acres. They would need to seek all their entitlements on that property to the extent they wanted to do something different than how it's currently approved.
Right.
So is it currently approved as townhouses or it's currently approved as commercial, correct?
Yeah, what's it zoned as?
It's currently zoned commercial outline.
Okay.
And the answer is today there is a valid vested commercial office and retail development plan. It's really old and has not been any interest in it at all since, the property. That's one reason why I think it came to the town as an offer for the right of way because they had an obligation to build that road with Barrington doing the subdivision.
So would they have to come back if they want to build townhouses to
If they wanna
get
do something
rezoned?
different, they have to come
Okay,
back and get
all right.
approved, Yes.
And Danny, remind me, how long is that blue strip?
I think it's about as long as the other one we built.
I would say maybe 2 or 3 tenths of a mile,
I
maybe.
feel like it's pretty, the section we just built a few years ago, it's about that same range, give or take.
Okay. All right, well, with that introduction, I'll open the public hearing. No, we already opened the public hearing, but I'll take any comments from the public in favor or any comments in public from opposition. Robin, do we have any? No? No one in favor or opposition, so I will close the public hearing and turn it over to the board for deliberations and consideration.
Make a motion. Make a motion to approve the ordinance approving the Barrington subdivision and Southtown Professional Center Development Agreement, Amendment Number 2.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Is any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounds unanimous, so thank you, appreciate that. The next item 4 is scheduling of a public hearing for rezoning of town-owned property located at Main Street and Young Street from Town Center Overlay District to Town Center Zoning District for February the 2nd in 2021, so that will be a month from today. Danny, any comments you want to make on that?
Well, if you like, I can show you briefly what this is about, so you'll know what to understand.
Yes, please.
First of all, this is dealing with, excuse me, let me remove the mask. This is dealing with the 2 cases you just took action on. One is dealing with the adoption of the Town Center text amendment. The next step is to change the zoning of the property to accommodate that district to apply. That's the first amendment. That's the MA 2001-01. And the other is the town's property, as Kelly just identified. And I noticed it was not mentioned in the agenda, but it was in the memo about both cases being considered. And that's MA 2021-02. So the first one, just to explain what's going on, this is the current zoning on the left of this area. This is commercial outline. There's industrial, it's commercial. There's a commercial district in our ordinance, which is mainly in the corner of Young Street and Main Street. And then there is an industrial district right there in the middle. I believe that's probably the site of the old water tank, my guess. And then there is the gray building. which is commercial conditional zoning. The rest of the tower is R1, and then we've added in the park. And the reason is, this will make it more flexible, particularly on this peninsula, for the development, having it zoned in the same district. It will not be an issue being in the town center versus being residential for the park. To start off with, you have restrictions by the Land Conservation Fund that was paid to the town to help finance that project. The restriction it has to stay as a park. So there's no development. So whether it's in R1, Town Center, or any other district does not matter because all parks are permitted in all districts. So that doesn't affect that. Same thing goes with the cell tower. The cell tower is permitted in all districts, so whether it's Town Center or R1, it will not affect their process or their approvals. It's already outlined under the provisions for telecommunication. So by incorporating that in, it makes a much more cohesive district. Is what we're recommending. So this is the comprehensive plan. Everything here, including the cell tower, is in the identified, is that shaded area here, is in the town center district identified in the comp plan. And of course, the green is for the park. All parks in the comp plan are identified as an open space. So this will take the zoning of R1, the commercial, the industrial, and the commercial conditional zoning district away and make it one town center classification. The other part of this is to remove the overlay, because you don't want to have two different things, because the two will conflict with each other. We need to take it out of the overlay, the town center overlay standards, which was what was the issue with the projects and development of this site, was some conflicts with the standards in there with the town center overlay. So the new town center district, and I know this is confusing of terms, we want to get rid of the overlay eventually with the new LDO and go to the town center. But we couldn't go put it on all the properties at one time, so we'll hold that off until the LDO gets adopted, which is these remaining properties. But for right now, we want to take this area in red, that portion of the zoning, out of the town center overlay. So that's what your amendment is going to be with MA 2001-01.
Can you go back one slide, Danny?
Yes, sir.
The map on the right side.
Yes.
You have the pink of that zone right there. The zoning on the opposite side of the road, is that all the same zoning then?
The zoning, no. Okay. I'm sorry, I went back on me. The area right here you were looking, I think we're looking at, that is residential.
Okay.
There is some inconsistencies about this town center overlay.
Okay.
I can tell you that I looked at it and I said, this don't make sense because it's a conflict. That's one of the things we want to clean up.
Okay.
But we're not changing that at this time.
All right.
We're not affecting
We're
any
just-
other properties than the town's property and the cell tower
Okay.
property.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, it's some properties along Main Street and also West Young, and I don't remember the zoning on it, but it's a zoning where they can take residential to commercial like they did at the insurance office and they did it, the beauty parlor down there. So I don't forget, I thought that was
That's called
called
the
Towns-
Neighborhood Conservation District, Overlay District.
I thought that was overlay, but it's a
Yeah,
different.
but I didn't show that on this map.
That's a different
I didn't want to
overlay.
confuse you.
So what's the name of the overlay?
Neighborhood Conservation District.
Okay,
Kind of odd number, odd name.
right.
But I didn't show that on here because it does run up and down these
So I
other
think for
areas.
Paul's question, those residentials that he pointed out, that you pointed out, does have a special zoning to them that if a person wants to convert it to from a rental, say a rental residential property to a rental commercial property, they can do that like they did the insurance office down there and stuff.
And we'll be dealing with that with the new LDO as well.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, can I, Danny, can you go back to the first map you just showed?
Wasn't that working? There we go.
Just note on this one, Danny, you have the heading 2102. It should be 2101.
Oh, yeah, it should be. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And then the next one is consistent.
I did it right here, and I messed up here.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Apologize on
Just
that.
want to make sure you catch that for the next.
Thank you.
Go.
Thank you for pointing that out.
I just need clarity on one thing. The map on the left, my left, where it says existing zoning, and it has the pink part, the other side. Go to the other map, sorry. My left.
This is the zoning map.
Right.
This is the comprehensive plan. This is the land use map.
That's what I was confusing too. So the one's the zoning and the one's the land use.
As it
That's
says,
their-
future land use at
yeah.
the top, existing zoning.
Gotcha. But when I'm looking at the zoning map, current zoning map, in the pink, at the top of the pink, that little triangle, the yellow triangle, is that,
That's a cell tower.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just didn't see it noted in the other one, but I was assuming that was cell
Cell
tower.
tower's included in the town center
I
on the
gotcha.
comp plan,
I
but
was
it's
just
not
making sure.
included in the zoning.
I got you. Okay.
And just make sure I'm clear, I think what we're asking for the public hearing to rezone is all company property except for the cell tower. That's going to be
It's all
rezoned
town
too.
property except for the cell
That's the
tower.
only two properties that's involved, I think, is ours and the cell tower.
Correct. That's correct, Mayor.
Because, you know, you got the private business and all that stuff in there
The
too.
private property is not included. That's right here.
So we're making a motion to schedule the public hearing only, right? Yeah, right?
Yeah, I
Correct.
think he wants to talk about the farm
I
real
got the,
quick.
talk about the farm before you make your motion. And, but this will go to the planning board at the next meeting and then come to you at the first meeting in February.
I do have a question, Danny. I know the cell tower came up in a planning board meeting with, still can't remember the name of that company.
American Tower?
American Tower. Tower?
It's American Tower, I believe.
Okay, no, but I know the issue came up with the Lafayette Group. I know that's not their name now.
Cobblestone.
Okay, Cobblestone, okay. Is that what you just said, Cobblestone? Because I'm having a hard time
That's the
hearing.
easiest investment.
Okay, so the issue was that they couldn't put up one of their buildings or something with that tower?
This solves the problem.
Okay, so I just wanted them to know that that was an issue. It was,
This solves the problem.
yeah, that was a problem that they had, if you all weren't aware of that.
It will be all in
Okay.
the same zoning classification. It wouldn't apply.
Right, okay. That was it.
Okay. And very briefly, the other case, and that is MA 2102, my apologies on the slide previously, is zoning of the town property that we just annexed, because it's in the county jurisdiction. It was not in our ETJ, therefore we have to go zone it within 60 days of the annexation, which is today. So we would need to go ahead and proceed. This is in the Little River watershed. The only zoning classification is R40W, residential R40W, and that's what's being proposed. So we just need a motion to schedule the public hearing for February 2nd for MA 2101 for the Town Center zoning district, and for MA 2102 for the town of Rolesville property.
I got this.
Okay.
I make a motion to schedule the public hearing for the rezoning of the town-owned property, case MA 2101, and the Town of Rolesville property, the farm, case MA 2102, for February 2nd, 2021.
Got a
I'll
motion?
second.
21. I said 21.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
All second.
Paul second. Motion is second. Any more discussion? Okay, if not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, board. Appreciate that. And the next item is TA 2020-0-08, an ordinance to prohibit vehicle parking in roundabouts. And is that something you present, Kelly?
I'll do very briefly. Third time's a charm, maybe. This has been in front of you twice after some concerns expressed of parking in a roundabout that wasn't necessarily quite clear in our code, and this is a recommendation to make it an expressed violation to park in roundabouts. The first time around, you asked where those locations were. We identified those. The second time, you asked that we make sure that we take the lead on contacting those affected properties. We did do that. The one particular individual who has the most impact by this violation has a house built on a roundabout with a driveway and a roundabout. He was visited by the police department and then called myself. We had a great conversation, and he does not disagree that it is a violation. We tried to sort through solutions, and almost all the solutions are incumbent upon him to modify his parking on his property. He has a landscaping business where he likes to at times park his trailer and operations at his house. And I think his best solution could be to add a parking pad next to his driveway up by the house. He doesn't know if he can get approval from the HOA or if he'll pursue that, but he does not disagree that probably is a good proposal, not to store, but for temporary purposes of use. Again, we had a great conversation, and quite frankly, he's a former police officer, law enforcement officer, and understands the law. So at the end of it, I said, well, we're going to probably approve this, and it'll be signed appropriately.
I have a question, Kelly. Was he aware of this going on? Did the management company get in touch with him?
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool.
But I'm glad we pursued it directly. That was a good idea, Michelle.
So I believe it is ready for adoption, and we'll sign it.
All of his property in the roundabout, because I thought if you go out of the roundabout, his property extended up the street a little ways.
May not be enough to park, I can't remember, but it feels, I'd have to go back and look at the IMAPs.
Gotcha. So if we can allow that, I think that would be fine.
If you can do it within out of the sight triangle and all that,
Right.
yeah.
All righty then.
Okay. What is the, and I guess you're looking for a decision on this?
Just to adopt the proposed text amendment, ordinance 2020-0808, sorry. 2020-0-08, an ordinance to prohibit vehicle parking in roundabouts.
That's not
Okay,
zero, that's O, isn't
I'll
it?
turn it-
That's O.
I'll turn
It's
it over to the board for
20-0.
deliberation.
Right, it is no.
I'll turn it to the board for deliberation.
I would make a motion that we approve this text amendment
Yeah, I don't have any issues with it.
2020-0-08. An ordinance to prohibit vehicle
Are
parking.
you
in
talking,
roundabouts.
Michelle?
I was thinking out loud, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, we can't hear you.
Okay, so what are you waiting on?
Any deliberations you guys have, and I entertain a motion to either approve or deny.
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay. I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I think April got there. So a motion and a second. Is any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then the last section is pretty much formality. I think we talked about having a virtual workshop meeting rather than a one here, and we were going to start early at.
That actually is your item number 7 that you did approve on consent. This item on number 6 is
Yeah,
to schedule and I need an answer tonight so we can get everybody on schedule, but we put out there on the agenda to schedule the virtual work session, joint work session with Town Board and Planning Board for February 26th from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m.
That's right. That's that Friday meeting.
That's right. If it does not work, we probably need to deliberate a date tonight if we can.
Yeah, I remember. That's that meeting we decided that Friday, starting at 9 to 3:30. So, really, so we can advertise, and we need to advertise and that kind of thing. Is the board still good with that date and time?
Did we agree on a Friday?
No, I'm forcing the issue.
Oh.
So either way, you can pick another date. That's great.
Unfortunately, I don't have my calendar in front of me, so it's hard to force a date if I can't see what's on my calendar. I'm sorry. I need a little.
Let's see, if we wait till next meeting,
That's in 2
yeah,
weeks.
we'll have time, because this is February.
Okay. Well,
Let's everybody So everybody kind of look at your calendars then, and we'll be prepared to do it next meeting. So we still got time. That shouldn't be a problem. Any more action you want on that?
No, would it be fair to say that you're okay within that time period so the consultants know that we're working towards a schedule and such? Okay, good enough. So whatever whatever works within that 25th or 27th would be the preferred dates.
Yeah. I thought we talked about Fridays being a good time, but maybe I was thinking about.
I don't think we ever really settled on one. That's why we put on here, just to make sure we had this conversation.
Before,
so.
you know.
And I personally
just-
said Saturdays were better.
Mhm.
I
You
work
did.
a full-time job. So I have to
Well, So,
confirm.
so with that comment, is Saturdays better for everybody else? You know, is that what we need?
A couple people ruled out Saturday. I think you said Saturdays.
Everybody
were
good
not
with that?
Saturdays are not good when COVID was not in effect, but with COVID in effect, it doesn't even matter. So, because I usually have events on Saturdays, but Saturdays are fine.
But let me check. You don't have to move it. It may be
Yeah.
fine. I just need an opportunity to
All
check
right,
it.
well, be prepared to talk about
You
it next
good on
time.
Friday?
I'm good on either. Yeah, that's fine.
And we, you know, we probably need to check with planning board and see if they can support that too, if we want them to be part of it.
Wait, do Fridays even work for anybody here? I know you just threw that out there, but no?
Good.
Yeah?
Paul
And you
said-
I mean,
too?
I can do a vacation day. It's not a big deal.
I would have to take
Yeah.
PTO more than likely.
Okay.
And the 19th is virtual? Am I?
So the next work session is going to be virtual
It
at
is
6.
virtual,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so just whatever y'all come up with is fine.
Okay.
And we're going to probably take the lead from you all, what your dates were, and then we'll make sure planning board can attend. We can poll them, but that's trying to get 13 people on the same page.
Right.
I mean, we could try, but I think you ought to take the lead and see what you can get together out of 6 of
Oh,
us.
and it's a
And can you
virtual one.
remind me, did we have a specific topic?
That is going to be the comprehensive transportation plan
Oh, that's
and
right.
the LDO.
All the initials. I
That's the
Yes.
26th?
Yes,
And it says virtual, so that's
and it will be virtual.
not even here. Okay.
I'll let you know by tomorrow.
Oh,
So we have to wait.
Well, yeah, that's all right. We can put it on, we'll put it on the next agenda. I just wanted to just,
Well, wait a second, Kelly.
If
If
I'm
she
the
can
only
give you,
holdup and I
yeah.
can let you know, then you can work with the planning board. If it works for me, and Jackie, I guess, is the only other person.
he was always good on Friday, I remember that.
Yeah.
So,
Just give me a call. You look at your agenda, give me a call, and we'll
Yeah.
work it out, and we'll
Okay.
check with the planning board.
And then you can let us know.
That way, we don't have to wait till the next
Yeah.
meeting to confirm.
That'd be good.
good enough. Thank you.
Sounds good. Appreciate the board working together, working that out. All right, communication section, anything from the town attorney? It looks like we may have lost him there. My sack of sure.
Well, I hope you didn't lose me. Can you hear me and see me?
You got a box in front of you, so I'm not.
All I can see is your hat.
Well,
Nice.
you probably don't want to see me. Can you hear me?
Yep, you looking good now. So,
All right, that's great.
anything you got to report?
The only thing is some good news, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. We have received confirmation from the attorneys for Cobblestone and Mr. Privet that they have reached an agreement with regard to access at the Privet property or along that boundary. While I have not seen the agreement that they have reached, because that is a private matter and it meets their needs, there probably is not much more that we need to know, except to the extent they wish to share it with us.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I need to see it, but is it possible that you can actually see the signed agreement signed by both parties and kind of convey that to me?
They are required actually to deliver it to the town as part of the agreement that you previously approved. So it will come, maybe it will come into the planning department as one of their approvals, but it will come at some point. Yes, sir.
Okay. Sounds great. Any other information?
That's it.
Thank you. Communications from town manager?
So, you did touch on the next meeting in 2 weeks. We'll start at 6. We were anticipating there might be a couple items that night, but It may be just these two items, and the first item is going to be your discussion on R3. And we'll be prepared to talk about that, but we'll take some of your lead on a we'll go over it. I think we'll ask you to develop your questions, your interests, or conversation points, because it really is your work session, I believe, to talk about your interests and what you want to learn about, or what your desires are about R3 and how it might be. We'll be prepared to talk about how we're viewing it and start working towards resolution in the LDO. And that's probably what we're going to spend our time in. Is we'll introduce where we're thinking we're going with this conversation in the new ordinance, and take the advantage of that. But really, we'll take your cues on anything further than that. So we'll be prepared to talk about where staff is leaning towards incorporating standards that are similar to R3 in the LDO now. And then that night, we'll also talk about and bring in and virtual in Stantec and spend some time on designs, the new design discussion recommendations for the Main Street project. We hope that you are prepared that night to review and look at, and if you see or agree or want modifications, we can get that discussion flowing pretty good that night, because we'll need to kind of start making some decisions on design, so we can get that into our final design work that's going to really start going full steam now over the next 2 months. I think that's the bulk of the evening of the 19th. So again, we'll be virtual. Robin will send you information how to participate in that and what that'll look like, but we'll all be live on the screen together during that, with the consultants coming in when they're needed or ready. We'll probably have Kimberly Horn participate in the R3 discussion also.
Quick question, Kelly, with the design, moving forward with that, how soon will that be implemented?
So this is going to be the design elements that are going to be used as far as the construction project for Main Street.
But is there a start time?
Oh, the actual, so the project itself? We will go to bid this summer.
Okay.
We'll select a contractor next fall, and this time next year, we will have started the project.
You mean this fall, right?
This fall.
This fall, excuse me.
Okay. This
Yep,
July.
2021.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
So they're going over some of the survey stuff.
They're going to re-review that,
Yeah.
but they're also going to, we're going to come in with recommendations that show or talk about what we call the three main components of what we think is important. Obviously, the survey results. Secondly, construction costs, because we want to make sure that we don't, if we put out gold and everybody like gold, we may want to talk about if we can afford that. And then the third one is the maintenance of such. So that's where the consultants are going to come from. They're going to blend their recommendations with those three key elements to come into you and say, we think this is the best based upon this. And you may believe that or want something different. So it's going to probably be a good discussion. It may be lengthy. So, I think starting at 6 is smart, but I don't anticipate much more than a couple hours that night virtually. So that's all I have at this stage. That's my report.
Thank you, Manager. Any communications from Town Board? Any additional last-minute thoughts? Only thing I would say is, I hope everybody had a great Christmas and New Year's and holiday season. We got a lot coming up in 2021 that I think it's going to be really good for the town, with hopefully the town center, Main Street vision, actually taking place. All that stuff, hopefully be a big year with some commercial starting. And the main thing, hope we can kind of get over this pandemic. Haven't heard much information on the vaccines and how that will be distributed in our areas. we'll keep you informed if we do hear something. But I hope we get in that pool pretty quick, and we can get it for our citizens and especially the first responders, I think, and those type of folks would be good. I know a lot of the healthcare workers have already got it, so that's a good start. So really hopeful that it'll work out. And with that, with any additional comments, I entertain a motion. I think has been a request to go into executive session. So I will entertain a request to recess to executive session.
I, Sheila Sutton, move that the board adjourn to closed session for the following purpose. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statute Section 143-318.11A5, to establish or to instruct the town staff concerning the position to be taken by or on behalf of the town in negotiating the price and other material terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase, option, exchange, or lease.
I'll call for a second.
A second.
All right, second is Michelle. And I'll call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. All right. So we will recess in the closed session. Thank you very much, board.